This is the last of 5 weeks in the month of September. Our theme has been learning, and our topic this morning is called hidden beliefs. There are a few people in this room who have either taken a class in the science of mind and spirit before or are currently in one. Do you mind putting your hand up? So we get together and study the creative power of thought and all of the intricacies of being part of that relationship with the all that is. And we start to learn how to connect with what's going on out there and what's going on in here. Because that's where the empowerment comes in. That's where our freedom kicks in, to the degree that we understand how that's all connected and how it works. So this morning we're talking about hidden beliefs, which happens to be the topic that the class is just discussing this week. Hidden beliefs. So there are 3 things that are really obvious about hidden beliefs. One of them is that they're hidden. They're not visible. Another one of them is that they are our beliefs. They have a relationship with us. They are connected with us in some way. And the third is that they are creative. So hidden beliefs by their very nature are not readily visible. They do, however, belong to us because they're our beliefs. And they are creative. Right there, if you put that together, you might think, okay, so there are things that I don't know I'm believing. They're mine. And they're creative, which means they're creating. That's why we're here this morning. So if we look at that, the good news is that hidden beliefs are actually visible because they're creative. So the first part about them being hidden is not for long. Because they're creative, they offer evidence of their existence. They offer clues as to what they are and where they're at. That's the beginning. The second part about the fact that they belong to us is actually a good thing. Because the best business for us to mind is our own. And the place where we have the greatest amount of power to influence our experience is within. And it's always good to remember that other people are right where they belong in their own process, so we needn't mess with or spend our time thinking about what other people's beliefs might be. So it's good to stop and just take a moment there and say, yeah, okay, so I want to work on my own understanding, for my own process, for my own freedom and empowerment. So then when we look again at this idea that beliefs are creative, okay, so that's actually a good thing. Usually in every class where we first address this idea, there's sort of a combination of yay and oh no all at the same time. Because what happens is we discover that what we believe is connected to what we're experiencing. So understanding how beliefs are created and how they're creative is the beginning to this path to freedom and empowerment through being able to connect our insides and our outsides by way of understanding our beliefs. So we begin with how beliefs are created. This is a really simple thing, actually. Something happens, we witness it, or we experience it, we form an opinion about it, and we file it in our little filing cabinet under whatever we've decided that it means. And it stays there. Then something else happens, which is similar to that thing that we have witnessed or experienced. And so we say, well, that means that too. And we put it in the same file, in the same cabinet. And we keep going on and on and on and on. And each time something happens, we say, oh, there's another one. And we put it in that file with those other things that are similar to it. Whether we experienced it ourselves or we witnessed it. Because the subconscious, by the way, doesn't know the difference. The subconscious is always one with everyone and everything else and doesn't know the difference between imagination and actuality. and between you and me. It just sees things as true. So we got this little file cabinet we've been carrying around. We can call it our memory. It happens to reside in a place that we refer to as a creative medium. It's where the law of attraction shows up. It's where the law of cause and effect kicks in. So what's interesting is that we may have certain things that we have created as our beliefs without realizing it. Okay? Because we didn't realize at the time, especially when we were younger, and also when things were really happening quickly, that we have a choice as to what we make them mean and what file we put them in and what little label we put on that file. So what happens is we're carrying around some impressions and opinions about past experiences and things we've witnessed that form our beliefs about ourselves, about everyone else, the world we live in, and probably even our Creator. We form our own little cosmology based upon our own experience. You've heard it before, that we get to be cautious of how we look at people, places, and things because we're looking through the lens of our own experience. And just maybe that influences what we make it mean. So we have that. We've got beliefs. They've just been forming all along. Now, it's possible to have a belief in something that isn't based in truth, in reality. It may be based in an experience that's just, not your average experience. But what happens is, once we form an idea and an opinion about something, we have this trigger. Like I said, every time another situation or circumstance comes along that's sort of like it, now this is the same when you do a Google search, by the way. Everything remotely like it comes up. Here you go. So that kind of happens throughout our day. And what can happen then is that the belief is triggered. The belief is triggered. So, I'm going to share with you very briefly how it's creative. So beliefs are created, and beliefs are creative because what happens is situation, circumstance comes along, and it's like doing a Google search. Everything like it pops up and says, no need to worry. Here's what you already think about that. The thoughts just come up. The thoughts just come up. Now the thing, we've heard this a lot at this point in time. It's probably not a surprise to anyone here. We've heard that thoughts are creative. We've heard that if you hold them for a certain length of time, that feelings kick in, and then emotions kick in. The creative process kicks in, and something shows up that's tangible. Okay? That's how beliefs are creative. Not because beliefs in and of themselves trigger the creative process, but what they do is they offer up thoughts. No need to think. We've already decided what we think about this. Or your file cabinet says, not to worry, here's everything you think about this. So you can just take it at face value and move on. Well, interesting thing about beliefs is that they have this sort of cement to them. Okay? We've already decided. So what have we done? We've sort of given up any further exploration. Last week we were talking about the wave of infinite possibility and collapsing the wave by thinking about something in a certain way, and all of the other possibilities kind of vanish into the background. Well, beliefs have a way of doing that, right? You might as well hear the sound of your mind slamming shut, if you just offer up your belief and don't give it a fresh thought in the moment, in this present circumstance, in this new context. That's what a belief can do. By the way, they don't have a totally bad reputation because there are a lot of things that we believe and we do automatically that are so good. I brush my teeth every day because I have a belief about that. I have my seatbelt on and locked before my car moves because I have a belief about that. And so many other things that are taken care of because that same automatic system of going from a thought all the way to a physical circumstance is already happening thanks to the wonderful operation of my belief system. We're talking about the hidden ones because what they do is they produce results that surprise us. and we say, well, gosh, that doesn't look at all like what I had planned. Those are the ones we're talking about today. Okay, so we have said hidden beliefs are hidden, but we have also said that their evidence makes them visible. We have said that they belong to us, and we've also said that's a good thing because they teach us about us, and that's the best place to do our work. And we've also said that they're creative, and that's all right too because we're learning how they're creative, and we're also learning how they're created so that we can begin to make sure that what we are believing serves us in our lives. So the next thing is to look at something that I call becoming a tracker. Now, becoming a tracker is really, really pretty fascinating. First of all, we have gone through so many times the creative process from thought to experience, and here's how it goes. You have a thought, then you have a feeling. What comes next, which is different from a feeling, is an emotional response, an emotion. And then what happens, either quickly or over the required amount of time, something tangible shows up. 4 things. Thought, feeling, emotion, result. Thought, feeling, emotion, result. Thought, feeling, emotion, result. Okay, so we've got that. Well, guess what? If you become a tracker, you can see something happen in your life that wasn't at all what you thought you were expecting, and say, all right, I'm going to track backwards. This process works both ways. I have a result. And I'm going to ask myself 4 questions. What was I doing when that result showed up? What would that answer be? I'll give you an example so we can get a grasp on this. Okay, what was my emotional state when that showed up? Okay. All right. What was I feeling right before my emotions kicked in? And finally, what was I thinking before that feeling arose? That is following the creative process backwards to its point of origin. It's an awesome thing to do. It is a great tool. Okay. A word of caution. Again, this is why our beliefs are our beliefs. It is best to focus on our own, because we each have our own evolutionary process. We each have our own lessons that we're learning and things that we're growing with. And if we attempt to assess and maybe offer some free advice to another person about what's up with them and why it's happening, it won't serve either one of us. So we don't do that. This is very personal because it can apply to something as simple as stubbing your toe or burning your toast like in The Secret in the morning, to something that's going on in your experience that you're really taking a look at and working with. Okay? And another side note is that that's why we have classes, that's why we have groups, and that's why some of us are licensed even to sit with people individually and take a look at that together. We create a safe and fun environment to practice with these tools and allow them to help us to grow and to live amazing lives. Okay, so we have these 4 questions. What was I doing? What was my emotional state? What was I feeling? And what was I thinking? And they have to be in that order because the creative process is that a thought happens first, a feeling then occurs, then an emotional state occurs, and then at some point the outcome, the result shows up. And obviously it's not all instantaneous, and thank goodness for that. Okay, so what would be a good example? If we were going to do something so that we could track back, let's try something simple. How about get a speeding ticket on the way to work? Okay, you don't have to raise your hand. If you've ever got one on the way to anywhere, okay, I have, okay? So, what was I doing when I got the speeding ticket? What do you think?
Is it something else?
Driving fast, perhaps? Oh yeah, we'll get to the thinking. Excuse me. Okay, speeding ticket. What was I doing? Driving very fast. Okay? And that may be relative to the speed limit in that area, right? Okay. So what was my emotional state when I was driving very fast? Well, it was freaked out. Okay? So what was I feeling before I got freaked out? Fear. Fear of being late. Okay? And what was I thinking before I experienced the fear? I'm gonna be late. Okay? I'm gonna be late. I fear being late. Oh no! I use other words in my own time. I'm really gonna be late. And then, voila! I'm late. Why? Because I agreed to it 100%. I believed it with all my heart and soul. I drove really fast, and I would have made it if not for that darn police officer who pulled me over, and now it's his fault. Right. Or her fault. I'm late. Ta-da! That's the creative process, going back and forth. So you try another one. What would be another good example? Something that happens every day. Would it be, okay, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to repeat this question because I want to really get to the heart of the matter. Okay, the heart of the matter is this. Speeding ticket. What was I doing? Driving fast. What was I feeling? What was my emotional state? Freaked out. What was I feeling? Afraid of being late. Afraid of the consequences of being late, by the way. And what was I thinking? I'm going to be late. Well, okay, if you really want to get to something and solve it and resolve it and not have to do it again, ask the questions one more time, okay? So we backtrack to that moment in time where I have successfully left the house late, okay? What led up to that experience? What was I doing? I was avoiding getting ready, okay? What was my emotional state? Oh, I really don't want to go, maybe resentment. Maybe something like that. Or maybe it was all this self-righteous, I'm so much better than this, why should I go there and do that thing for less than I should be paid, or, whatever it was, we were all fucked up, okay? Justified in resisting getting ready for work. And we step back and say, okay, now what was I feeling when I got into this emotional state about why I shouldn't have to get ready and I shouldn't even have to go? Resistance. Resistance to going there at this time to do that thing, or whatever. Step back one more time. What was I thinking before all of that unfolded? I was thinking, I'd really rather be doing something else with my time. Now, we can either find out what's going on with us that way, which takes a lot of time, involves paying fines, or going to beg the magistrate, or explaining to your insurance company, or taking the driving class so your insurance company doesn't find out, continuing to go to the job that you don't want to do, and we'll see all the side effects of your resentment. Oh, let's see now, co-workers, family, and your relationship with yourself. We can learn from how life reflects back to us in this way what we have been believing and didn't realize. And there's a beautiful thing that we get to do when we strike gold, when we find the point of origin, the real reason why, we can make a new choice. Now, I would recommend go ahead and accept. Remember Eckhart Tolle's thing about a new earth? The first positive thing that you can do that's not destructive is to practice acceptance. Accept. Yeah, I don't want to do this any longer. I think I'm complete. And I will get dressed, and I will drive the speed limit, and I will show up 100% to where I've agreed to be, and I will begin to make plans for that change in my life. Or you can say, no, I can't think that. It's not okay. I can't do that. I don't deserve it. I can't be entertaining those thoughts. There's too much to do. There's too much to pay for. I have too much responsibility. I can't. what will happen? That prevailing belief, the predominant belief, even if you've got all kinds of happy affirmations up here, by the way, on your windshield and your visor and your inside your cap and on your bathroom mirror, if what you really believe is, I don't like what I'm doing, I wish I could be doing something else, that's what's manifesting. And it gives you the gift of that awareness by reflecting back through every person, every circumstance, until you get it. And you can get it the first time if you want by having tools like this. So next time something happens in your experience, I recommend practicing on the small stuff. Practicing on the small stuff. Speeding tickets, burnt toast, stubbed toes, broken nails, fender benders, or just being late and apologizing, and then you have one of those days that just is like a domino effect of one thing after another. Stop, freeze frame. What am I doing right now? What is my emotional state right now? What was I feeling right before I got emotional? Oh. What was I thinking right before I had that feeling? Oh. And keep going, because you have the answer within you, and it's not necessary to go pay a lot of money to have someone else find out for you. And it's certainly not necessary to keep going through these messy and intricate ways of finding out what you really believe. Because you can do it just by taking the time on purpose, in journaling, in meditation, in self-inquiry, working with others, to find out what that is and recapture a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of living. So I'm just going to close with this by reminding you what those 4 questions are. Anytime, any place, anywhere. Freeze frame. By the way, you can always excuse yourself and go to the restroom and pray and do all kinds of weird stuff in there. So you can do this. What am I doing right now? Really? What is my emotional state in this moment? What was I feeling? Was it fear or resistance? What was it? Right before my emotions kicked in. And what was I thinking that triggered it all? And by the way, is it possible that the thought is part of an old belief that has nothing to do with who I am now? Because if that's so, all you have to do is introduce a new thought and hold it for 15, 16 seconds. We do that all the time. We just have been doing it with worry. Okay? New thought that, to your best estimation, would be the kind of thought that you would have that would connect you with your desired outcome. Hold it for 15 seconds or so. A feeling comes up. Probably enthusiasm. Oh, yeah, I like that. Stay with it. Stay with it until an emotion comes up where you're feeling that as joy. You're feeling that as that real experience of enthusiasm. And then decide what action to take that's in alignment with that. And stay there until the desired outcome shows up. They say that anything set in motion in the universe remains in motion until it is acted upon by an outside force or inside, which would be a belief that you're holding that is against what you desire. That's it. So I'm just going to close us with a prayer, and we'll know that we're going to stay the course today, and we are so much more informed than we used to be, and that our results are just going to rock. So if you'd like to close your eyes and join with me, this is what I know. I know that there is one mind, divine mind, all-knowing. I know that there is one heart, the heart of God, Spirit, Creator, the Absolute. I know that there is one substance, and it's perfect. And I know that there is one life, and it is eternal. I know that this intelligence and this love, this substance and this life is what we're made of. We're made by it, out of it. It is all that we are, all that we can be, do, have, or experience. It is all that moves through us. It is all that it moves through. Therefore, I know that each and every one of us has a mind that is one with the mind of God, a heart that is one with the heart of all creation, a body of our affairs that is one with the body of God, and a life that is one with the one life. I celebrate how that shows up, knowing that for each and every one of us it is magnificent, empowering, freeing, and contagious. And in gratitude for this, and all of those delightful results, I give thanks, knowing that it is already done. And together, as we open our eyes, we say, and so it is.